Hello there, and welcome to the Draft Talk podcast, your one-stop shop for all your NFL draft needs. I've just thought I usually do a bit of a monologue at the start, try and make a joke. I even got a song in there the other week, but then I thought, what's the point? Because you probably know from the title of the podcast exactly what we're talking about. It's quarterbacks. It's our top fives. So yeah, let's get cracking. Well, before we get cracking, of course, how rude of me. My name's Brian. I'm the host, and with us as ever, it's Owen and Stu. How are you doing, chaps?
Yeah, very well, Brian. As we record, 3 weeks till draft night, it's getting exciting. It's getting to that point now where all sorts of things are happening at a rate of knots, and yeah, just can't wait till it comes round now.
Yeah, we're recording this, 3 weeks out? It'll be less than that by the time it comes out. So we're going to get the final important positions out of the way. We've got a couple of good ones coming up.
Absolutely. So if you don't know, I think you already know. The guys have done all the scouting for us. They've whittled it down to their top five. Don't worry, we'll touch on a few more as well. But yes, let's go their top five cornerbacks for this year's draft class. Oh, I'll come to you first. Who have you got as your number five?
Yeah, five was pretty difficult in this class actually, because the cornerback in general is really good in terms of depth as well. You're going to get some really good players going on day two. But at number five, I've settled on Nate Wiggins from Clemson. Really has the play to be higher than this when you look at production and what he's like on film. But I'm scared because he's 6'1" and 173 pounds. And we're talking kind of Emmanuel Forbes range from last year, which puts me off. But Nate Wiggins is a lot better than Emmanuel Forbes was coming out. He's a true outside corner who's got height, he's got length. Most importantly, he's also got speed. He ran a 4.28 40-yard dash at the combine, which at 173 pounds, then you would hope that he would run fast. But he thrives in zone coverage, where that athleticism really shines through. Smooth footwork, fluid movement skills, stop-start ability when tracking the football is brilliant. Plays on his toes, reacts to routes, speed to stick with receivers as well. Can limit separation really with that athletic ability. The athletic ability really underpins everything he does, along with the length, because he's got long arms as well. Means he can leap high. He's an explosive player and is able to nullify at the catch point, attacks the football in the air. He's quite raw with his route recognition at times. He needs to be more aware and maybe understand how to play the short area and recognizing screens and coming downhill. And he doesn't have the play strength at all. He's going to need to add considerable weight because the strength profile is a real problem, and it shows up specifically in run support and when coming downhill. He's got all the tools, but he needs to become more technically refined with it, and he can play a little bit out of sync. And he's still learning some of the nuances of the recognition. But really, if he could add to that play strength, I would be a lot less concerned, and he would be higher up the list. But I can't put someone who's 173 pounds higher than this.
Yeah, so Nate Wiggins, I think he's got a really good combination of coverage, talent, and traits. He's tall, long, really fast, and he's got a really good recovery speed. We saw that with a 4.28. I think obviously he sometimes leaves for me a little bit in kind of off man. He's just that bit too much of a cushion, and I think that probably is to do with his play strength. I think he's got really good instinct at times. But yeah, he can read that clues from the quarterbacks, but the play recognition, as you say, Ryan, just needs to be refined again. He's still quite a young player. You know, all these guys are going to have time to develop. I think that there's lots to like in Nate Wiggins' game. I think his size is going to put people off. However, I think that's the thing for me. If Nate Wiggins was 20 pounds heavier, he would be higher up on my board as well. I have him as number 4,
Okay.
because I do like a lot of the things about Nate Wiggins that's there. But the size does put me off a little bit, as you say. You know, if he's going to be playing on the outside, which he is, he's an outside corner. He's going to have guys who, if he's playing at that weight, he's going to have guys who are going to have 40 pounds on him at times, and that strength is going to be tricky to deal with. But there's a lot to like in Nate Wiggins' games. I think he's a really good corner. He's got really good traits. I think that yeah, if he could do something about that, I don't know. He has got probably a little bit more in his frame that he could add on there, but it's not going to be a huge amount. But I think that I think he is going to go reasonably early because I think there's a lot of talent there, but there's just that little bit of hesitancy to rank him higher.
Yeah, it's a position where traits really matter. You can't be a slow corner, and obviously he's not. He's one of the quicker ones, so that will stand him in good stead. He's got the traits, he's got the tools. If we could just add some strength and physicality, then I think someone's going to get a really good player.
I mean, his weight, I think, is in the first percentile. I mean, that is ridiculously like. I don't know what he played at Clemson. He maybe dropped a bit too run fast at the combine bit. I don't think he didn't look a big corner when he was playing at Clemson anyway. He still looked thin. So
yeah, the weight when we did summer scouting, the weight was a concern back then.
Yeah. So he's not one of these guys who shed tons of weight to be at that size to run fast at the combine. So I think that's the thing that holds him back. But I still really like what I see there from him from a playing point of view. So I've got him ranked at number 4.
Lovely stuff. Okay, Stu, who have you got at number 5 then?
So at number 5, I've got Kool-Aid McKinstry, who's a corner from Alabama. He's a 3-year starter with a former 5-star recruit. He is from one of those colleges that churn out players, so there's something about him if he's been at Alabama for that time. To give him his real name, JaQuincy. I didn't know that until fairly recently. That was his proper name, but everyone has known him as Kool-Aid. So yeah, Kool-Aid McKinstry, I think he's a really smart football player. One thing I like with Kool-Aid that you see, that you maybe don't see from some of these younger guys, is that he talks a lot, not giving it jaw jacking. He's a good communicator with the rest of his defensive backs. He's got really good balance and athleticism. He does a really good, nice job of reading receivers. He's better for me in that short 1, 2, 3 step than a long speed. And I find that he has a bad habit of when he's not being directly targeted, shutting off a little bit. And if the play changes, that he's maybe, okay, it's coming my way. He's sometimes just a bit inconsistent in his reaction time for me as well. But there's a lot there that, again, to like. This is a really good corner group. I think he plays with poise and patience, but for me, it just lacks a bit of something, and I can't put my finger on it what that something is. I think he's just a really good, reliable player, but I don't know has he got the highest ceiling for me, and that's why I had him at 5.
Yeah, I would agree with that in terms of the ceiling. I like him too. I have him at 4. So what's going to happen here? It's going to be one of those episodes that's just a little bit messy, but we have the same players. Yeah, it's the intelligence and it's the football IQ, the awareness, the anticipation that I really like with Kool-Aid McKinstry. I think people seem to have cooled on Kool-Aid McKinstry. I didn't mean to do that.
I should have left that one for Brian.
But I can't really put my finger on why, because he kind of has everything. He maybe isn't as quick as some of these others. He's maybe not as physical as some of the top guys. But I certainly don't think it's bad, and I think he's got an overall good combination of skills. His instincts make plays, and his understanding when to get back to the pass when he's on comeback routes, I thought was really good because of the change of direction. Strong athletic ability as well. Say he's not as athletic as some of these top guys, but I think it's more than good enough. You can get out there and he can stick with anyone. I wouldn't have any problems with that. Very sticky when following receivers. Doesn't matter what type of route is running, he's got the ability to follow it. Say stop start ability, change of direction is absolutely fine. I think he's really good in press as well. Lock on hands and short yardage. Can also return punts as well, which is good for him. Good length. But yeah, it's really the intelligence, the awareness when the ball's in the air to get past breakups, and the anticipation when the ball's coming over his shoulder. He doesn't even need to turn his head. He kind of just knows where the ball is, which allows him to concentrate on the receiver, which I really like. The weaknesses, he could probably add a little bit more to his physical profile, which I find he got bumped quite a bit with physicality, where with his shoulder and his hips to knock him off balance when in the air. And maybe he needs to get a little bit stronger when matching downfield. And he can be a little bit grabby, but that's college corners for you. That can be put to a stop in the NFL. There's plenty of good corners that have come out that were grabby in college, because you can kind of get away with it a little bit more. But yeah, I like Kool-Aid McKinstry, 5'11", 199, so weighs more than Nate Wiggins does, considerably more. And what I really like about him as well, just adding there, is that they found that he had a Jones fracture at the combine, which meant that he wasn't able to participate. And then he goes to his pro day, runs the 40. You've got the times are completely unreliable with pro days, so it's no point even speaking about them really. But the fact that he was able to do it and decided to do it shows a little bit about his character, and he's gone to have surgery after that. So he's chosen to get out there and put something out because he was stopped at doing it at the combine. So that just shows the type of football character you get with Kool-Aid McKinstry, which I think some teams will like.
And I think he's wise to get surgery on that injury. They are ones that can be treated conservatively in a walking boot, but approximately a third or more don't unite very well. So he's probably done a smart thing to get surgery. It sounds, people go, oh, getting surgery, could he have just dealt with that? I think with that kind of injury, particularly in an explosive position like corner, yeah, it's maybe going to be longer to get better, but it's going to be right for him in moving forward.
How much does that affect his play? So obviously he didn't know about it, but would that affect his speed, and how would it have affected him during the season? You're muted.
I'm always muted. It's always it's often a stress type of injury, so it's probably come on over time. He'll have not immediately snapped something. It'll be you tend to get these in people who are explosive, repetitive movements on the feet, dancers, sprinters, these kind of people. Okay. So he might not have felt that much pain from it initially, but
he obviously didn't know about it, so he didn't feel much. But would it have meant that he runs slower? So he ran a 4.47 with a Jones fracture. I mean, that sounds pretty good when you throw the word fracture.
Not necessarily. I mean, if the thing that would limit him running is if he's pain. So if he's pain free, I don't know if it will have. It's difficult to tell. You can't say because you don't have him in comparison. But I think it's a good thing for him because it's probably something that could cause him problems down the line if he doesn't deal with it now. So it's better, and that's what the combine's for. These kind of medical issues. But I don't know why the kind of Kool-Aid hate has kind of happened. I don't know if it's hate, but he's been one of the top guys, around, and I still think he'll be a round one player when it's said and done.
Yeah, I don't think he's done anything wrong. Like everything's cooled, but has it just been that his teammate was slightly better this year, which means that he was just as good, but he's just been overtaken by a couple of better prospects.
Talking of slightly better prospects, Owen, who's your number 3?
Yeah, so 3 for me is Quinyon Mitchell from Toledo, and I quite. Just before I sent them over, I flipped them because I think 2 and 3 are very, very close to me. They'll probably be back to back when it comes to the big board. But yeah, Quinyon Mitchell from Toledo, 6 foot, 195 pounds. Incredible physicality, toughness, and athleticism. He's got the perfect blend of all 3. So the athleticism is bordering on elite, really. Ran a 4.33 40-yard dash, which was far better than anyone expected. He's got the speed and his power. I use the word thunderous power because I can't think of a better way to explain it. I use that phrase quite a lot, but I think it's a really good way of describing how powerfully someone runs. But yeah, he's got the thunderous power to close in on receivers, natural twitch and short area agility as well. Playmaking instincts are absolutely there. Plays disciplined as well. Vision, very, very good. Anticipation awareness is really good as well. High football IQ. Route recognition is absolutely off the charts, and has quick reactions when the ball's in the air. Shows the adequate speed to stay within routes as well, and toughness to disrupt them, and decrease the throwing window area. And he's just an eraser when it comes to that. The reason why I ended up putting him at 3 is because I feel like he can be a little bit tight getting off the line at times. I don't think he's the most naturally fluid or smooth mover. He can lack some flexibility and bend in his body control when turning corners on routes, and I could see some shifty receivers beating him there. And I think he could use his physicality better as a tackler. Sometimes he just doesn't wrap up as well as others. But overall, he's got a very, very good skill set, and no one's had a better pre-draft process than Quinyon Mitchell. 5 interceptions in 2022, 4 of them in one game. And in 2023 had another interception. He was targeted an awful lot less in 2023, so that's not all on him, but a very, very good player.
Yeah, I really like Quinyon Mitchell, and just picking up on what you said there, Ryan, about the hips and the twist. I think what sometimes get him caught is that he turns his hips or shows what he's going to do a little bit early because he hasn't got that flexibility, and that's what sometimes can lead him to be caught. But I think he's someone he's really kind of well built. He looks a solid build to him.
Yeah.
He's quite naturally broad compared to some of these other guys who are a bit more lankier in the frame. He has got a really good burst to close, particularly when he's tackling. I think that he tackles reasonably and well in run support, but he tends to wrap the legs a little bit more rather than tackling around the middle. So I think that's maybe something that needs to work out when you mentioned about using his physicality well. I think he's got really quick, nimble feet. I think he changes direction well. He really kind of reaches out and claws at that catch point as well. He's really competitive at the catch point. I think sometimes he gets a little bit caught behind the bigger guys. I think I don't know the position when he's watching the route and the quarterback at the same time. I think that's sometimes where he might have a little bit of an issue. But I think that he's a really good corner. I think we're going to flip flop a little bit on these. I've got him at number 2.
Okay.
But 2 and 3 for me were pretty close as well. But yeah, Quinyon Mitchell has done himself absolutely no harm in the pre-draft process. He's a really well liked prospect, and there is a high chance that he could be the first corner off the board.
Yeah, absolutely. The production gave me pause as well, considering that he had 4. We're talking about he's got great production in 2022, but you take out that 4 interception game, and that's just 1 interception in each year. I would have liked that to have been more. 5 looks great, but considering it was just the 4 in one game, I think there could have been more. That there's production left on the table there, I think.
That's fair, yeah.
Considering the level of competition as well, I just maybe would have liked a little bit more, but it was very, very close. And we talk about traits. The NFL's going to love him. He was able to go. He had offers from big college programs and I know big NIL money as well on the table. And he said, "No, I'm staying at Toledo," which good on him. That'll probably go down well too.
Good stuff. Stu, let's have your number 3, please.
I wonder if this is who Ryan has at number 2, but we'll see definitely. Cooper DeJean is my number 3. I'm not sure that's going to be the case then. If it's just the looks that I'm getting, but we'll see.
No, he's my top corner.
Okay, fair play. I think that he's a really highly competitive defensive back with really good ball skills. He's big. He's got muscular arms. He's really strong. He's got really good interception production. But I find for me, I thought that he was more explosive linearly than lateral movement. I think he plays best when he's looking at the ball rather than having to turn and go the other way. And I think his hips are a little bit tight in that stage. And I think that when he might, in man coverage, that might be a bit difficult for him. But he charges hard and he wants to hit people very, very hard. We saw Devon Witherspoon, some of the hits that he made last year. I would rather be hit by Devon Witherspoon than I would by Cooper DeJean any day. It's a shame we didn't get to see him test at the Combine because I think he would have been a phenomenal tester. He's one of those guys who's a multi-sport athlete in his high school days. Just an all-round athlete. I think that he's a really, really good player. We've heard talk about him being a safety, or people thinking about he's a safety. He's played really well. Let him play at corner first for me and see what happens. If it doesn't work, you do have that option of moving safety, but I think that he's a corner first and foremost. There's always a chat about him from coaches and things that he's just a straightforward, humble guy who just gets on with football. He just doesn't cause any problems, and I think teams are just going to like his attitude. He just seems to love playing football. There was just a few things for me that, again, these guys are all they're all good corners. I think that there could be an argument made for any of them, and again, we're just looking at what things we look for and what things that we do like. But for me, he was number 3, but I could see why someone has him as number 1.
Yeah, I do. He's my top ranked corner. I absolutely love Cooper DeJean. I maybe don't have the same concerns as you do. I get going on the concerns you had. One is that he's not really a press corner. He's going to be he thrives more in zone, which is absolutely fine. That's just the type of corner he is. He suffered a fractured fibula in November, which hampered his season, and he won't work out till Monday, which is the 8th. Now, we're trying not to look silly here because this probably comes out that day. So when people are listening to this, Cooper DeJean might have tested and done something absolutely silly, because he has the potential to, because he's absolutely an unbelievable athlete. He played quarterback, wide receiver, and defensive back in high school. Big time basketball player too. Won high school state championship with 100 meters, ran a 10.7 100 meter dash in high school. Won a long jump too, so he could test out of the waters if that injury and the fracture is completely healed, which you have to think he is. Otherwise, what would be the point in testing? But yeah, 2022, 5 interceptions, 3 pick sixes, 2 interceptions in 2023 before the injury in November. He's a cornerback with safety skills, I think is the best way to put it. There's a lot of safety talk, but to me, he's a cornerback with safety skill set that you're going to be able to move about because of that versatility. Supersized player. We think he's probably going to be 6'2" or 3, so he's got that mass and the physicality to him. Elite athleticism, as I just said. Fantastic speed, which I think we'll see. Easy tracking the ball. Can recover easily as well because of that speed. Extremely instinctual. Awareness is absolutely off the charts, which shows in his production. Incredible ability to read the eyes and jump on routes and jump on quarterback throws. Proactive in his anticipation skills. You just can't give him a sniff at the ball, because if he has a chance, he's going to take that ball away. Ball skills are absolutely insane when the ball's in the air. Strong hands at the catch point as well. Very, very physical. I just don't see what there is not to like about Cooper DeJean, apart from he's probably going to be best put in zone. And there's going to be some question marks over what his best position is, because you can see how he may end up as a good free safety. But I think if you start him off as more of a nickel player who can move outside when needed, then I think you've got a hell of a player on your hands with Cooper DeJean.
Nice. That leaves us with one. Stu, who's your number 1? Who have we got left?
Yeah, so I'm assuming this is Owen's other player, Terrion Arnold, cornerback from Alabama. He's the tandem with Kool-Aid McKinstry we talked about earlier on. I think he is an opposite type of player from Cooper DeJean. He's the kind of corner who wants to play really tight up in press, and he wants to be right in underneath that receiver, right up in his face, very early on in the snap, right through. And then that's the kind of corner that I like. Those kind of guys who are up in your face and really want to be battling through it. I think he's someone who's the thing for me. He's got a real natural feel for playing angles, and I think that he takes up good angles and positions against receivers, and he wants to attack the receivers when they're up trying to win that ball. he wasn't wonderfully explosive testing at the combine, but I think his closing speed is very, very good. When he has to make that last few yards, he's quite explosive. He's really aggressive in run support. He really gets after it as a tackler. I think that he has enough athletic ability, size, and skill to play the corner position. He's fast, he's agile. I think he's got a little bit of everything for me. Weaknesses, there is obviously in all college players weaknesses. I think that sometimes he lacks a little bit of the play developing around him at times. He's sometimes a bit too focused on being up against the receiver and sometimes battling a little bit too much. I think there is a bit of improvement for his positioning with the jump balls, but overall for me, I think that Arnold is a really good cover corner. I think you're going to be the kind of guy you're going to match up against your number one receiver and let them fight it out. And that's again, we talk about flavors. That's the kind of corners that I like. So that's why I've got Terrion Arnold as my number one.
Yeah, I have him at number 2, and as I said earlier with Quinyon Mitchell, it was very, very close between the two, but I've gone with Arnold in the end because he has rare movement skills. He's such a fluid mover, easy on the eye mobility skills with functional strength profile. He's maybe the best pure mover in this class. He's just got unnatural
snake hips, hasn't he?
explosive. Yeah, just he shouldn't be able to move. His movement just pops. He's able to flip his hits with so much twitch and bend. It really is impressive, and this body controls well to maintain balance through it all and change direction instantly is great. Can sink his hips as well to follow the craftiest of route runners. He's extremely intelligent, plays with awareness, plays with anticipation, quick decision maker as well, and he's got those instincts to pounce on routes and the ball. Limits space with his physicality when tracking the ball, which means he can disrupt routes. Jams receivers as well with impressive physicality, which was better than you'd maybe give him credit for, considering he's only 6 foot, 189 pounds. Excellent ball skills at the catch point, aggressive in the air as well. The biggest strength for him, actually, I think, comes from what coaches say about him, that he's got impressive leadership skills. That he's really tight knit with the Saban family, not just Nick, but his wife as well, who used to, his wife used to text Arnold before games and after games, just wishing him luck and things like that. So this is a leader of men who teammates follow, but coaches also trust, which will come into it. He's going to get rave reviews from Saban, who no doubt will be on the phones to NFL teams when teams ring up and ask him about prospects. Really disciplined as well. Where he fell down for me, I think while he is quick, he doesn't have the deep field speed that others do in the class. He ran a 4.5 40-yard dash at the combine, and he can be too aggressive to bite on routes. When he's led by more intelligent quarterbacks. I think when he came up against some of the better quarterbacks, he really looks at the eyes and follows too much. And against bulkier receivers, I felt he needed to be more disciplined at the line, because while he's got the physicality, he got baited into a bit of a wrestling match at the line, which disrupted the timing of the route, which is where he got beat. And maybe needs to become a little bit more consistent as a tackler. But I think he's a very, very good prospect. And considering the leadership, considering the mental skills and the elite rare movement, he's going to be in contention to be one of the first corners off the board as well. The DeJean, Arnold, and Mitchell are all very, very good corners who are worthy of being top of the class.
There we go. Excellent. Looking forward to seeing more of these guys. Yeah, you mentioned it. Yeah, there's a few others that are really good. Tell me a bit about them.
Could do a whole another podcast on corners who are going to be.
I've told you, Stu, we're not doing top tens.
I know. top tens. Yeah, there's a cluster of guys I think that are going to be in that after that top 5, and some of them might even sneak into that bottom right one. But that early day 2, I think you've got a cluster of guys. You've got Ennis Rakestraw, Kamari Lassiter, TJ Tampa, Mike Seinrichtel, Max Melton. The list goes on about guys who could challenge in that range. For me, who else do I like? Quite a few of these guys. There's plenty to like there. Ennis Rakestraw was one of the guys who got quite a bit of chat for a bit, and then he kind of fell off a bit again. There was kind of concerns about
He didn't
some of
test
his
anywhere near
testing.
as well as
Yeah, that
expected.
was the thing. It was his testing was what seemed to do for him. But I think he's a corner who's really good man coverage with good instincts. He's got good length. He's got good football IQ. There's still the things that you liked on tape are still there for Ennis Rakestraw, but that athletic testing, I think, has knocked people a little bit on him. Another guy I liked, although he's on the smaller side, is Mike Seinestrel. Seinestrel, I'm never sure how you pronounce his name properly. So he's a corner from Michigan. He's small. He's only 5'9", but he's got really good ball skills. He was a previous wide receiver. He's really effort. He's one of those kind of guys, a really scrappy, competitive little guy. I think that a slot corner job for him against some of these smaller slot receivers, he's going to be someone that the teams really like. But for me, it's him, his competitive attitude and ball skills is Seinestrel. So that's a couple of the other guys that I did quite like.
Yeah, I really like Kamari Laster as well. He would have been next on my list. Just a hard-hitting physical corner. He'd be the type of guy that you'd like, Stu.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ridiculous toughness. Can even blitz if you want him to. He's fallen off a bit because he decided not to test at the combine, and then I suppose there's a separate discussion here, but he decided to run at his pro day instead of the combine. There's completely conflicting reports as to what he ran at his pro day. You look at some places, they say he ran a 4.45, which is really good for Kamari Laster. You'd think it would be the 4.5s, and then some others had him at 4.6.
Yeah, 4.65. I saw somewhere as well. Yeah,
which drops in well down. You can't run a 4.65 if you're a corner in the NFL, and this is the problem with when you choose not to run at the combine, you run at your pro day instead. That this is potentially what happens. At least if you'd gone at the combine, you would have had a confirmed number, because that's a wide variance, isn't it? 4.45 or a 4.65.
If he is a 4.45, he's laughing because you think, wow, that's for him.
Exactly,
that's
and
pushing him up the way, isn't it?
People just don't know who to believe, right? And it's for him, it'll come down to what does that specific team clock him in at, but we're just not going to be privy to that information. But yeah, he's a zone cover corner as well for me, and short area quickness, but insane physicality and strong run support as well. So I could see a team taking him in round 2 if they don't have him at a 4.65 because people aren't taking that early. Max Melton as well is an absolutely insane athlete who isn't getting as much love as he should. So Max Melton, I think, is probably going to be one of those guys who goes higher and people go, whoa, where did he come from? Because he's very, very good from Rutgers. Extremely, extremely athletic corner, and got the traits, which is it's a corner is a traits position.
Yeah, his jumps were insane in the percentages. I can't remember the exact figures, but it showed his explosiveness, and he was in the 4.3s, I think, with his 40 as well. So adding that to some of his tape as well, he's got a good profile that teams will like.
There we go. So we're thinking, I don't know, double figures first 2 rounds, maybe more or less.
Yeah,
possibly. Yeah, could easily happen.
Yeah. I think 10's a good
shout.
Mark. Yeah.
There you go. Hit it first. Well, good stuff. Cornerbacks done. Another set of positions done. Do check out the other episodes we've done. We've done all sorts: offensive line, defensive line, running backs, wide receivers, and we've got a few more left, a few big ones to cross off before we get to the draft. But yeah, keep an eye out for them. Do have a listen, and of course, in the meantime, take care of yourselves, and thank you very much for listening.